Basketball witnessed something extraordinary when Michael Jordan showed up at the Iowa versus LSU March Madness showdown. The crowd went wild, but one person felt their heart skip a beat: Caitlin Clark. She'd been on fire all season, putting up numbers that made jaws drop. We're talking about a player who just shattered records that stood for over 50 years. Picture this: Clark stands at the free throw line, her eyes focused on the rim, when she spots him. The GOAT himself, Michael Jordan, watching from the stands. Now, let's be real. Jordan doesn't just show up at college games randomly, but here he was, in person, to witness Clark's magic. The same Clark who'd been setting the basketball world on fire, averaging 32 points per game and making shots look easier than a morning coffee run. She'd already broken Pete Maravich's all-time NCAA scoring record, a feat many thought impossible in the modern era. The energy in that arena shifted the moment people realized Jordan was there. Think about it. The greatest player ever, showing up to watch the new face of college basketball. What happened next would leave Clark, a player known for her confidence and swagger, completely speechless. Their interaction would become one of those moments that basketball fans will talk about for years to come. The 2023-24 season wasn't just another year of college basketball. It was the year Caitlin Clark rewrote history. Every time she stepped on the court, something special happened. By February 2024, she wasn't just breaking records, she was shattering them. The big one came against Michigan when Clark needed just 8 points to pass Pete Maravich's 54-year-old NCAA scoring record of 3,667 points. She didn't just pass it, she blew past it with a signature long-range three-pointer. Her numbers tell a story that sounds made up, but they're all real. She put up 32.2 points per game, ranking first in NCAA Division I. But scoring wasn't her only superpower. Clark also led the nation in assists, dishing out 9.5 per game, making her the first player ever to top both categories in multiple seasons. Think about that. She was both the best scorer and the best playmaker in college basketball. Iowa's journey to the Final Four? Clark was the engine behind it all. She dropped 41 points against LSU in the Elite Eight, a revenge game that drew 12.3 million viewers, making it the most watched women's basketball game ever. Iowa's ticket sales? Sold out. TV ratings? Through the roof. Clark wasn't just playing basketball. She was changing how people viewed the women's game. By the time March Madness rolled around, she'd turned every Iowa game into must-watch TV, with arenas packed and viewers glued to their screens, waiting to see what she'd do next. When Michael Jordan meets with players, he doesn't waste words. But his interaction with Caitlin Clark was different. It happened during March Madness, at a pivotal moment in Clark's journey. Jordan had watched intently from his courtside seat, witnessing Clark's impressive offensive display during the game. The conversation took place right after Iowa's victory, and what Jordan said showed he'd been paying close attention to Clark's game all season. Jordan pointed out specific aspects of Clark's shooting technique that caught his eye, especially her quick release and deep range. He mentioned how her style reminded him of Stephen Curry, but with its own unique flair. What really caught everyone off guard was Jordan's detailed knowledge of Clark's journey. He brought up her early days playing ball in Iowa, showing he'd done his homework. Jordan even mentioned watching some of her high school highlights, proving this wasn't just a casual meet and greet. Clark, usually quick with responses during interviews, found herself struggling to find words. Here was her childhood hero, the player whose documentaries she'd watched countless times, breaking down her game with the same intensity he once brought to the court. Jordan's words weren't just praise. They were a basketball legend's stamp of approval on the future of the game. Their conversation might have lasted only a few minutes, but it became a defining moment in Clark's career. The day Michael Jordan made her realize just how far she'd come in changing the game of basketball. Michael Jordan specifically praised Clark's court vision and basketball IQ, comparing it to the game's greatest point guards. "What you're doing isn't just about scoring records," Jordan told Clark. "You're changing how people see the game." He highlighted her ability to read defenses and make split-second decisions, skills that had been Jordan's own trademark. The conversation turned technical when Jordan broke down her signature step-back three-pointer. He noted how she creates space, pointing out that it's not just about the shot, but the setup. "That's what separates good players from great ones," he explained, a comment that visibly moved Clark. Jordan then shared something unexpected. He'd been following her career since her sophomore year at Iowa. He mentioned specific games, including her 46-point performance against Michigan, showing his genuine interest in her development. What caught Clark off guard was Jordan's prediction. "You're going to do even bigger things at the next level." Clark later revealed in interviews that Jordan's words gave her a new perspective on her impact. She'd grown up wearing his shoes, studying his games, and now here he was, analyzing her game with the same intensity. The conversation lasted barely 10 minutes, but those words from basketball's greatest icon carried weight that would stick with her throughout her career. What made this interaction special wasn't just the star power, it was the genuine respect between two generations of game changers. One who defined basketball's past meeting, one who's shaping its future. After their meeting, Clark's game reached new heights. Her confidence, already sky-high, got an extra boost from Jordan's words. In her next game, she put up 35 points and 10 assists, showing the same killer instinct Jordan was famous for. The basketball world took notice. Athletes across both NBA and WNBA shared their reactions on social media. Sue Bird called it a passing of the torch moment, while Stephen Curry acknowledged how Clark's playing style is pushing basketball forward, just as Jordan had mentioned. Iowa's head coach Lisa Bluder noticed a change in Clark's approach after the Jordan meeting. "There's a different fire in her eyes," Bluder said during a post-game press conference. "When the greatest ever tells you you're on the right path, it hits different." Iowa's head coach Lisa Bluder noticed a change in Clark's approach after the Jordan meeting. "There's a different fire in her eyes," Bluder said during a post-game press conference. "When the greatest ever tells you you're on the right path, it hits different." Media coverage exploded. Sports networks replayed the interaction repeatedly, analyzing every word exchanged between the two stars. Clark's jersey sales jumped 250% in the following week, breaking WNBA draft prospect records. Even Jordan Brand executives hinted at future collaborations, showing how this moment transcended just basketball. The impact wasn't just about numbers or sales, it was about validation. Jordan's words confirmed what many already knew. Caitlin Clark wasn't just changing women's basketball, she was changing basketball, period. When Jordan spoke to Clark, it wasn't just about two players from different eras connecting, it marked a turning point for basketball as a whole. His words validated what fans had been seeing. The line between men's and women's basketball is fading, replaced by a simple truth. Great basketball is great basketball. Clark's journey, now carrying Jordan's seal of approval, opened doors for future generations. Young players today aren't just dreaming of being the next Michael Jordan, they're dreaming of being the next Caitlin Clark. The game is evolving, and this moment proved that legends recognize legends, regardless of gender. The impact? Women's college basketball viewership hit record numbers. Youth basketball signups saw a surge in young girls joining the game. Clark didn't just break scoring records, she broke barriers, and Jordan's recognition amplified that impact. Before we wrap up this incredible story, let me know if you've ever seen a moment like this in sports. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into basketball history in the making, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that show how the game keeps evolving. Don't forget to ring that bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Remember, as Jordan himself would say, greatness recognizes greatness. And we just witnessed exactly that.